Commander Jake Murphy stared at the green screen in front of him. The signals coming from deep space were unlike anything he had seen before. He had worked at Lunabase for 12 years, watching for asteroids and space junk. Today was different. "Sir, you need to see this," said Lieutenant Tony Mitchell, running over with a data pad. "The signal is repeating every 30 minutes. It's coming from outside our solar system." Jake took the pad and studied the numbers. The pattern was too complex to be natural. Someone or something was trying to talk to Earth. He pressed the red button on his desk, connecting him directly to Earth Defense Command. "This is Lunabase. We have first contact." 3 days later, Captain Lisa Webb stood on the bridge of the research ship New Horizon. She was Earth's best expert on alien life, even though she had never seen any before today. The ship moved slowly toward the meeting point near the asteroid belt. Her hands shook slightly as she checked her equipment one more time. "Captain, we're getting another transmission," said Communications Officer Amy Foster. "They're asking us to stop here and wait." Lisa nodded. Through the main window, she could see a massive ship appearing from behind a large asteroid. The alien vessel was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. It looked like it was made of blue crystal, with strange lights flowing through its walls. The alien ship was 5 times larger than New Horizon. Lisa felt very small. "Open a channel," she ordered. The main screen flickered, and suddenly she was looking at something that was definitely not human. The alien stood over 8 feet tall, with a body that seemed to be made of the same blue crystal as their ship. Its face had no mouth, but somehow it spoke in perfect English. "Greetings, humans of Earth. I am Warprime Kethval of the Zephyrian Empire. We come in peace from the Andromeda Galaxy to establish trade relations with your young species." Lisa stepped forward. "Welcome, Warprime Kethval. I am Captain Lisa Webb, representing Earth. We are honored by your visit." The alien's crystal head tilted slightly. "Your species is more advanced than our long-range scans indicated. We detected primitive radio signals from your world 50 years ago. We did not expect to find you among the stars." "Humanity has grown quickly," Lisa replied carefully. "We have colonies on Mars, Europa, and several asteroid mining stations." Something changed in the aliens' crystal eyes. They grew brighter, harder. "Interesting. Our data is clearly outdated." For the next 2 hours, Lisa and her team talked with Warprime Kethval about trade possibilities. The aliens offered advanced technology in exchange for Earth's resources. They seemed particularly interested in Earth's metals and water. Everything seemed to be going well until Amy Foster noticed something strange. She was monitoring all radio frequencies, as was standard procedure. She picked up a weak signal coming from the alien ship on a frequency they thought humans couldn't detect. Amy quickly ran the signal through the translation program they had used for the main conversation. What she heard made her blood freeze. "Phase 1 complete," the transmission said. "Humans more advanced than expected, but still primitive. Recommend proceeding with invasion plan. Estimated human military strength insufficient to resist conquest. Begin Phase 2 upon return to staging area." Amy's hands trembled as she sent an emergency message to Captain Webb's personal communicator. Lisa read the message and felt her stomach drop. She kept her face calm, but inside, she was screaming. "Warprime Kethval," she said slowly. "We appreciate your offer. However, we need time to discuss this with our government leaders. Perhaps we could continue these talks in a few days?" The alien stared at her for a long moment. Lisa wondered if it could sense her fear. "Of course, Captain Webb. We understand human decision-making processes can be slow. We will wait at the edge of your system." The transmission ended, and the alien ship began moving away. Lisa immediately ordered her crew to prepare for emergency departure. "Amy, send everything we recorded to Earth Defense Command. Priority 1 encryption. Tell them we have a problem." As New Horizon turned toward Earth, Warprime Kethval was having his own conversation with his officers aboard the crystal ship. "The humans are more developed than expected, Warprime," said his second-in-command. "They have faster-than-light communication, and their ships show advanced design principles." Kethval walked to the front of his bridge, looking out at the small human ship racing away from them. No matter. They still number only a few million across their colonies. Our invasion fleet carries 2 million warriors and the most advanced weapons in the galaxy. Even if they have improved since our last scans, they cannot resist the might of the Zephyrian Empire. Should we follow them, War Prime? Eliminate their ship before they can warn their homeworld? Kethval considered this.
No.
Let them run home with their warnings. It will make their final defeat more satisfying when they realize their preparations were useless. Besides, we want their full military to gather in one place. It will save us time. The War Prime touched a control panel with his crystal finger. Send a message to the invasion fleet. Tell them to increase speed. We attack in 6 months instead of 12. The humans know we are coming. Back on New Horizon, Lisa Webb sat in her captain's chair, watching Earth grow larger on the main screen. She thought about War Prime Kethval's confident words and his species' advanced technology. The aliens clearly thought humans would be easy to defeat. She smiled grimly. The Zephyrians had made a mistake common to many powerful species throughout history. They had confused technological advancement with fighting ability. They had mistaken human politeness for weakness. Lisa had studied military history before becoming a xenobiologist. She knew that throughout human history, the most dangerous opponents were often those who seemed peaceful until they were threatened. Humans had a talent for warfare that went beyond weapons and ships. They could adapt, improvise, and fight with a creativity that often surprised their enemies. Amy, add this to your report to Earth Defense Command, Lisa said. Tell them the aliens think we're primitives who will surrender easily. Tell them they're about to learn what humans are really like when we're angry. As New Horizon entered Earth's atmosphere, War Prime Kethval's crystal ship disappeared into the darkness between stars, carrying word back to the Zephyrian invasion fleet. Neither side knew it yet, but the real war had already begun. Admiral Ben Clark had not slept in 3 days. The emergency meeting room at Earth Defense Command was filled with smoke from too many coffee cups and the tension of desperate people making impossible decisions. Around the large table sat the most important military leaders and scientists on Earth. Captain Lisa Webb stood at the front of the room, pointing at a holographic display showing the alien ship she had encountered. Her voice was steady, but everyone could hear the worry underneath. The alien technology is at least 50 years ahead of ours in most areas, she explained. Their ships are faster, their weapons are more powerful, and their shields can stop our current missiles. But they have weaknesses. Dr. Amy Foster, who had been promoted to head of advanced weapons research after her discovery of the alien transmission, raised her hand. What kind of weaknesses? Lisa changed the hologram to show a close-up of the crystal alien. Their bodies are made of some kind of living crystal. During our conversation, I noticed that certain sound frequencies made them uncomfortable. When our communication system produced feedback, War Prime Kethval actually stepped back. Admiral Clark leaned forward. You think sound can hurt them? Maybe. But more importantly, their technology seems to be based on the same crystal material as their bodies. If we can find the right frequency, we might be able to disrupt their ship systems. Colonel Pete Davis, Earth's best military pilot, stood up. That's all very interesting, but what about numbers? How many ships are coming? Lisa's expression grew darker. From what we intercepted, they have 300 ships carrying about 2 million warriors. They'll be here in 6 months. The room fell silent. Earth's entire space fleet consisted of only 47 combat ships, most of them designed for fighting pirates and smugglers, not alien invaders. General Roy Adams, the oldest person in the room, finally spoke. We can't win a straight fight. So, we don't fight straight. Admiral Clark nodded. Roy's right. We need to be smarter, faster, and more ruthless than they expect. What do we have that they don't? Dr. Amy Foster pulled up another display. We have desperation. And we have technologies that we've never used for warfare because they're too dangerous. She showed images of massive mining equipment, antimatter research facilities, and experimental weapon prototypes. Project Titan. We take every dangerous technology we've developed and turn it into weapons. Plasma cutters become plasma cannons. Antimatter engines become antimatter bombs. Asteroid mining charges become ship-killing explosives. How long will that take? Asked Admiral Clark. For months, if we work around the clock and ignore all safety protocols. Colonel Pete Davis smiled for the first time in days. I like the sound of ignoring safety protocols. What about pilots? We'll need people who can fly these new weapons. I have someone in mind, Admiral Clark said. Lieutenant Kate Johnson. She's been breaking every flight record we have, and her combat simulations are impossible to beat. Meanwhile, in the pilot training facility on Luna Base, Lieutenant Kate Johnson was doing exactly what Admiral Clark had described. She sat in a flight simulator, fighting against computer-controlled alien ships based on Lisa Webb's observations. The computer kept increasing the difficulty, but Kate kept winning. Her instructor, Major Sam Bell, watched in amazement as Kate destroyed her 20th alien ship without taking any damage. How do you do it? He asked. Kate pulled off her flight helmet, her short brown hair sticking up in all directions. I don't think like them. They fight in patterns, like they're following rules. I fight like I'm trying to survive. The computer is programmed with advanced alien tactics. Yeah, but it's still thinking like a computer. Real aliens probably think even more like computers. They'll have standard procedures, chain of command, proper formations. When someone breaks all those rules at once, they won't know how to react. Major Sam Bell made a note in Kate's file. This young pilot might be exactly what Earth needed. Back at Earth Defense Command, engineer Maya Clark was working on a different kind of preparation. She was converting civilian ships into warships, turning passenger vessels into troop carriers and cargo haulers into missile platforms. The good news is that we have a lot of ships, she told Admiral Clark during their daily briefing. Mining companies, passenger lines, cargo fleets. If we can arm them, we'll have over 200 vessels. What's the bad news? Most of them aren't designed for combat. They'll be slow, poorly armored, and easy targets. Admiral Clark thought for a moment. What if they don't need to survive? What if they just need to get close enough to hurt the aliens once? Maya understood immediately. Suicide ships. One-way attacks. Only if people volunteer. We won't order anyone to die. Maya nodded grimly. I'll start the conversions. But, Admiral, we'll need volunteers to fly them. As word spread through Earth's colonies about the coming invasion, volunteers began arriving at military bases faster than they could be processed. Miners from the asteroid belt, colonists from Mars, engineers from Europa, everyone wanted to help defend Earth. Dr. Nina Ross, a scientist working with Dr. Amy Foster, made an important discovery while studying the alien crystal samples that Lisa Webb had managed to collect during the meeting. The crystal structure is incredibly complex, she explained to the research team. But it's also perfectly ordered. Every molecule is in exactly the right place. So, asked Dr. Foster. So it's fragile in a specific way. If you can disrupt that perfect order, the whole structure becomes unstable. Like breaking one link in a chain. Dr. Foster's eyes lit up. Electromagnetic pulses. If we can generate the right frequency, we can shatter their crystals.
Exactly.
But the power requirements are enormous. We'd need something like a small star's worth of energy. What about antimatter? Dr. Nina Ross calculated quickly. It might work, but we'd only get one shot. The electromagnetic pulse would drain our entire antimatter reserve. As the months passed, Earth transformed into a massive military base. Factories that had made cars now made missiles. Scientists who had studied peaceful applications of technology now designed weapons of war. Children practiced emergency drills in schools. Admiral Ben Clark stood on the observation deck of the new orbital command station, looking down at Earth. The planet was covered in lights, factories working day and night, training facilities, weapon testing ranges. Captain Lisa Webb joined him at the window. Do you think we have a chance? Admiral Clark was quiet for a long moment. The aliens are stronger, faster, and more advanced. They have better weapons and more experience. By every logical measure, we should lose. But But humans don't fight logically. We fight emotionally, desperately, creatively. We break rules that other species don't even know exist. The aliens are expecting a civilized war with proper tactics and predictable strategies. Admiral Clark smiled grimly. They're about to discover that humans don't fight civilized wars. In deep space, War Prime Kethval's invasion fleet was approaching the outer edge of the solar system. His scouts had reported increased human activity, but nothing that concerned him. The humans were building defenses, which was expected. They were launching more ships, which was also expected. What War Prime Kethval did not know was that humans had spent 6 months preparing for a kind of war that the Zephyrian Empire had never experienced. A war where there were no rules, no limits, and no mercy.
The storm was about to break.
The orbital defense platforms around Mars looked like nothing that had ever been built before. Chief Engineer Sam Bell stood on the command deck of Platform Alpha, watching teams of workers install the last antimatter cannon. Through the massive windows, he could see 17 other platforms spread across Mars' orbit, each one bristling with experimental weapons. "Sir, the quantum disruptors are online," reported Engineer Tony Wright. "Dr. Foster's team says they're ready for testing." Sam nodded, but his attention was focused on the sensor displays. Long-range scanners showed the alien fleet was still 3 months away, but they were slowing down. "They're being careful," he thought.
Good.
"That gives us more time." Captain Lisa Webb, now promoted to Commodore, walked onto the platform. She carried a data pad filled with the latest intelligence reports. "Sam, we've finished analyzing the alien ship fragments that our scouts collected. During the past months, Earth had sent out dozens of small, fast ships to observe the approaching alien fleet. Most had been detected and destroyed, but a few had managed to collect debris from alien vessels and return to Earth." "What did you find?" Sam asked. "The crystal technology is even more complex than we thought. But Dr. Nina Ross was right about the frequency weakness. We've identified 17 specific electromagnetic patterns that can disrupt their hull integrity." Sam looked at the massive weapons surrounding them. "Will our guns be able to generate those frequencies?" "That's the problem. The frequency generators need enormous amounts of power, and they can only fire once before burning out. Each platform will get 1 shot." Sam did some quick calculations in his head. 18 platforms, 1 shot each, against 300 alien ships. "We'll need to make every shot count." On Luna Base, Squadron Commander Kate Johnson was training the last group of fighter pilots. The Mars Wolves Squadron had grown from 50 pilots to over 500, but Kate was only satisfied with the best. "Listen carefully," she told the 30 pilots in front of her. "The aliens fight in formations. They follow rules. They expect us to do the same. We're not going to." She activated a holographic display showing the alien fleet approaching Mars. "Traditional military doctrine says fighters should stay in formation, follow your wing leader, and engage targets assigned by command. Forget all of that." Lieutenant Pete Morris raised his hand. "Ma'am, if we don't follow formation, won't we just get in each other's way?" Kate smiled. "Pete, have you ever seen a pack of wolves hunt a large animal?"
"No, ma'am."
"They don't stay in formation. They attack from all directions at once, constantly moving, creating chaos. The prey doesn't know which threat to focus on, so it can't defend against any of them effectively." She changed the display to show human fighter tactics. "We're going to hit them like a swarm of angry bees. No formations, no predictable patterns, no rules. Just 3,000 small, fast ships attacking anything that looks important." The pilots looked nervous, but excited. They had all volunteered for what everyone knew was probably a suicide mission. Meanwhile, Communications Officer Tony Mitchell was working on a very different kind of weapon. In a secure laboratory deep underground on Earth, he was testing something that Dr. Amy Foster had called psychological warfare. "The aliens come from a highly ordered society," Tony explained to his team. "Everything in their culture is structured, predictable, and harmonious. Their transmissions are mathematical, their ship designs are symmetrical, and their battle tactics follow rigid patterns." He activated a sound system that filled the room with screaming electric guitars and pounding drums. This is human heavy metal music. To us, it's just entertainment. To them, it should be completely alien and disturbing. His assistant, Lieutenant Maya Park, covered her ears. It's disturbing to me too, and I'm human. Tony laughed.
Exactly.
But we've grown up with this kind of music.
We know it's just sound.
The aliens have never experienced anything like chaos music, random noise, or emotional expression through art. Our psychologists think it could cause actual physical discomfort to their crystalline nervous systems. He showed her a massive broadcasting array being installed on several platforms. We're going to fill their communication frequencies with human music, human voices, human emotion. While they're trying to figure out what it all means, our ships will be shooting them. Dr. Amy Foster was having problems of her own. The antimatter weapons were working perfectly in tests, but they required more antimatter than Earth had ever produced. We need at least 50 times our current production rate, she told the Emergency Production Committee. And we need it in 2 months. Industrial leader Ben Wright looked at the numbers and shook his head. It's impossible. We'd need to build new facilities, train new workers, and redesign our entire production system. Then we do the impossible, said Admiral Ben Clark, who had joined the meeting. Every antimatter research facility on Earth, Mars, and Europa goes to maximum production. We ignore safety regulations, we work around the clock, and we accept that some facilities might explode. Dr. Foster stared at him. Admiral, one antimatter facility explosion could destroy half a continent. Commodore Webb's intelligence reports say the aliens plan to enslave or kill every human in the solar system. Half a continent is better than our entire species. The room fell silent as everyone considered the stakes. War Prime Kethval was also having planning meetings, but his were very different. Aboard his flagship, the Zephyrian commanders were reviewing their attack strategy. The humans have built defensive positions around their 4th planet, reported his intelligence officer. 18 orbital platforms with unknown weapons. Kethval studied the tactical display. Unknown weapons are concerning. What do our analysts think? Primitive kinetic weapons, most likely. Possibly nuclear missiles. Nothing that should penetrate our shields. What about their ship numbers? Over 200 vessels of various sizes. Most appear to be converted civilian craft. Our tactical computers estimate we can destroy their entire fleet in less than 3 hours. Kethval felt satisfied. The humans were putting up a better defense than expected, but they were still vastly outnumbered and outgunned. Maintain current approach speed. We'll crush their defenses and proceed to their homeworld as planned. What Kethval didn't know was that human scout ships had been watching his fleet and listening to his communications for weeks. Every piece of intelligence was being sent back to Commodore Lisa Webb's analysis team. They're dividing their fleet into 3 groups, Lisa explained to Admiral Clark. The main battle group will attack our orbital platforms directly. 2 smaller groups will try to flank us from above and below the orbital plane. Admiral Clark studied the enemy formation. Classic military tactics. Textbook approach. Exactly. They're doing everything by the book. Which means we know exactly what they're going to do. And what are we going to do? Lisa smiled grimly. Everything they don't expect. Sam's platforms are going to let the main battle group get close, then hit them with frequencies they've never encountered. Kate's fighters are going to ignore the flanking groups and go straight for their command ships. Tony's going to fill their communications with noise so they can't coordinate. And Amy's antimatter weapons are going to create explosions big enough to be seen from Earth. Admiral Clark looked out at Mars, where the orbital platforms were making final preparations. And if it doesn't work, then we find out whether humans are as good at dying as we are at fighting. On Platform Alpha, Chief Engineer Sam Bell was making his own final preparations. He walked through the weapon bays, checking each system personally. The quantum disruptors hummed with barely contained energy. The antimatter cannons sat silent and deadly. The frequency generators waited for their one chance to disrupt alien crystal technology. Sam thought about his wife and children back on Earth. He had volunteered for this assignment knowing he probably wouldn't survive. But if the platforms could stop even half the alien fleet, Earth's other defenses might have a chance. He activated the platform's communication system. All hands, this is Chief Engineer Bell. In 72 hours, we're going to find out what humans are made of. I want everyone to know that serving with you has been the greatest honor of my life. Across the solar system, similar messages were being sent as humanity prepared for the most important battle in its history. The aliens were coming with superior numbers and technology. But they were about to discover that there was something about humans that couldn't be measured by weapons or ships. They were about to learn what happened when you threatened something that humans loved. The Zephyrian fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of Mars' orbit like a crystal storm. 300 ships appeared in perfect formation, their blue-white hulls glowing against the darkness of space. War Prime Kethval stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking at the tactical displays with satisfaction. The human defensive positions are exactly where our intelligence predicted, he told his officers. 18 orbital platforms and approximately 200 ships arranged in standard defensive formations. What War Prime Kethval saw through his advanced sensors looked like a textbook military defense. The human platforms were spread evenly around Mars' orbit, with clusters of ships positioned to support them. Everything appeared organized and predictable. What he didn't see was that half the human ships were unmanned decoys, that the real fleet was hidden behind Mars itself, and that the orbital platforms contained weapons that had never been tested in actual combat. Admiral Ben Clark sat in the command center of the flagship Terra's Fury, hidden behind Mars along with the main human fleet. Through his communication link, he could hear the voices of commanders across the solar system preparing for battle. Platform Alpha ready, reported Chief Engineer Sam Bell. Mars Wolves Squadron ready, came Squadron Commander Kate Johnson's voice. Psychological Warfare Systems ready, added Communications Officer Tony Mitchell. Antimatter weapons charged and ready, confirmed Dr. Amy Foster from her Weapon Control Center. Admiral Clark took a deep breath. This is Admiral Clark to all human forces. Today we find out if the aliens made a mistake when they decided to invade our home. Remember, we don't fight to win. We fight because we have no choice. Begin Operation Redline. War Prime Kethval was expecting the humans to demand negotiations or surrender terms. Instead, his communication officer reported something completely unexpected. War Prime, we're receiving transmissions from the human forces, but they're not on standard diplomatic frequencies. They appear to be music. Suddenly, every Zephyrian ship was flooded with sounds they had never heard before. Screaming guitars, pounding drums, and human voices singing about war, freedom, and defiance. The crystal beings, accustomed to perfect harmony and mathematical precision, found the chaotic noise physically painful. Turn it off. War Prime Kethval commanded. We can't, sir. They're broadcasting on every frequency simultaneously, and the signal is too powerful to block. While the aliens struggled with Tony Mitchell's psychological warfare, the real attack began. Squadron Commander Kate Johnson led 3,000 fighter craft in a maneuver that broke every rule of military tactics. Instead of attacking in formation, the Mars Wolves scattered in all directions like a swarm of angry insects. Kate's fighter screamed toward the alien flagship at maximum speed, ignoring the smaller ships trying to intercept her. Behind her, 1,000 other fighters did the same thing, each pilot choosing their own target and their own attack route. Mars Wolves, this is Alpha Leader, Kate broadcast. Remember, we're not trying to survive this. We're trying to hurt them so badly that the people back home have a chance. Make every shot count. The Zephyrian fleet found itself under attack from every direction at once. Their tactical computers, programmed for orderly battle, couldn't process the chaos. Ships that should have been protecting each other were separated by human fighters diving between them. Formation leaders lost contact with their units as human pilots ignored proper battle lines and attacked whatever looked important. Lieutenant Pete Morris flew his fighter straight through a Zephyrian formation, firing at everything he passed. His ship took hits that should have destroyed it, but he kept flying until his weapons ran out. Then he turned his fighter into a missile and crashed directly into an alien command ship. Warprime Kethval watched his orderly battle plan collapse into chaos. All ships, return to defensive formation. Ignore the fighters and concentrate fire on the orbital platforms. But the platforms were ready. Chief Engineer Sam Bell waited until the main alien battle group was exactly where he wanted them, then activated every weapon at once. The quantum disruptors fired first, sending invisible waves of energy that made space itself unstable. Alien ships caught in the disruption field found their crystal holes beginning to crack and their systems failing. Then the antimatter cannons opened fire. Dr. Amy Foster's weapons created explosions so bright they could be seen from Earth. Each shot vaporized everything within 1,000 kilometers, turning Zephyrian capital ships into expanding clouds of glowing gas. But the most devastating weapons were the frequency generators. Dr. Nina Ross had been right about the aliens' weakness. When the generators fired their specifically tuned electromagnetic pulses, the crystal structure of alien ships began to resonate and shatter. 12 Zephyrian ships simply fell apart as their hulls broke into millions of pieces. Warprime Kethval felt his own flagship shudder as frequency weapons targeted it. Cracks appeared in the crystal walls around him, and several of his officers collapsed as the resonance affected their crystalline bodies. All ships, emergency retreat to secondary positions, he ordered. Regroup and assess damage. But Admiral Ben Clark wasn't going to give them time to regroup. All ships, emerge from behind Mars. Attack formation Charlie. Hit them while they're confused. The main human fleet appeared from behind the red planet like a pack of wolves coming out of the forest. Unlike the fighters, these were the big guns, heavy cruisers, converted battleships, and the massive Terra's Fury itself. The human fleet didn't attack in neat formations either. Admiral Clark had studied every battle in human history, and he knew that the most successful attacks were often the most unpredictable ones. Target their command ships first, he ordered. If we can break their leadership, the rest will fall apart. Commodore Lisa Webb, commanding the intelligence ship Discovery, used her knowledge of alien psychology to identify the most important targets. Admiral, their fleet structure is highly dependent on centralized command. If we can eliminate their flag officers, their individual ship commanders won't know how to adapt. The human antimatter weapons tore through the Zephyrian fleet like fire through paper. Ships that had seemed invincible an hour earlier were exploding in chains of nuclear fire. But the aliens were fighting back now, and their weapons were devastating. Platform Beta disappeared in a flash of alien plasma fire. Platform Gamma's antimatter reactor went critical and took 2 nearby platforms with it when it exploded. Chief Engineer Sam Bell felt Platform Alpha shake under enemy fire. His weapon systems were offline, his crew was dead or dying, and alien ships were moving in for the final attack. Admiral Clark, this is Sam Bell on Platform Alpha. We're finished up here, but we're taking some of them with us. Sam activated the platform's emergency protocol. Instead of trying to save the station, he turned the entire structure into a massive bomb. Platform Alpha's antimatter stores exploded outward in a controlled detonation that vaporized 15 alien ships. Squadron Commander Kate Johnson saw Platform Alpha's sacrifice and felt rage fill her heart. Her fighter was damaged, her squadron was scattered, but she wasn't finished yet. All remaining Mars wolves, follow me. We're going to kill their leader. Kate aimed her battered fighter directly at Warprime Kethval's flagship. Around her, the surviving human pilots did the same. They had no hope of survival, but they could still hurt the enemy. Warprime Kethval watched the human fighters approaching his ship and felt something he had never experienced before: fear. These creatures didn't fight like any species the Zephyrian Empire had ever encountered. They fought like they were already dead and just wanted to take their enemies with them. All defensive systems stop those fighters, he commanded. But there were too many human ships attacking from too many directions. Kate Johnson's fighter broke through the alien defenses and crashed directly into the flagship's bridge. The explosion killed Warprime Kethval and most of his command staff. With their leader dead and their command structure broken, the remaining Zephyrian ships began to retreat. But Admiral Ben Clark wasn't going to let them escape. All ships, pursue and destroy. We can't let any of them get back to their empire. Dr. Amy Foster fired the last of her antimatter weapons at the retreating aliens. Admiral, we're out of antimatter. The big guns are silent. Then we use the small ones. Every ship, every weapon, every missile. Hunt them down. The Battle of Mars orbit had turned from an invasion into a massacre. The aliens who had come to conquer Earth were being systematically destroyed by an enemy they had completely underestimated. In the command center of Terra's Fury, Admiral Ben Clark watched the tactical display as the last alien ships were eliminated. The cost had been enormous. Half the orbital platforms destroyed, thousands of human fighters lost, tens of thousands of casualties. But they had won. Commodore Webb, send a message to Earth Defense Command, he ordered. Tell them the alien invasion has been stopped. Tell them humanity survives. As the debris of the alien fleet drifted through Mars orbit, one thing was clear. The Zephyrian Empire had made a fatal mistake when they chose to threaten humanity's home. The silence after the battle was almost as terrifying as the battle itself. Admiral Ben Clark stood on the bridge of Terra's Fury, looking out at the debris field that had once been the most powerful invasion fleet in the galaxy. Pieces of crystal ships drifted past the main window like glowing snow. Damage report, he said quietly. Lieutenant Commander Amy Park checked her displays. 12 orbital platforms destroyed. 147 ships lost. Casualty estimates are coming in now, sir. Admiral Clark closed his eyes. How many? 37,000 confirmed dead, sir. Another 15,000 missing, presumed dead. The number hit Admiral Clark like a physical blow. 52,000 people had died defending their home. But as terrible as that number was, he knew it could have been worse. Much worse. What about the aliens? Commodore Lisa Webb spoke from her position at the intelligence station. Complete elimination, Admiral. Long-range sensors confirm no surviving alien vessels. The entire Zephyrian invasion fleet has been destroyed. But even as they celebrated their impossible victory, the human survivors were discovering that some aliens had survived the battle. Warprime Kethval was dead, but his second-in-command, Subprime Veltar, had survived the destruction of the flagship in an escape pod. Dr. Nina Ross found the alien survivor floating among the wreckage 3 hours after the battle ended. The crystal being was badly injured, with cracks running through his body that leaked a glowing blue fluid. He's dying, Dr. Ross reported to Admiral Clark. But he's conscious and willing to talk. Admiral Clark and Commodore Webb met with a dying alien in the medical bay of Terra's Fury. Subprime Veltar looked up at them with crystal eyes that were growing dim. You have destroyed the Zephyrian Empire's greatest fleet, the alien said in a voice like breaking glass. But you have also doomed your species. What do you mean? Asked Commodore Webb. When our empire does not receive word from Warprime Kethval, they will send an even larger fleet. You have proven that humans are dangerous. They will not make the same mistake twice. Admiral Clark leaned forward. How long do we have? 2 years, perhaps 3. The next fleet will have 1,000 ships and the most powerful weapons in our arsenal. You cannot defeat them as you defeated us. Subprime Veltar's voice grew weaker. Warprime Kethval was arrogant. He thought humans were primitive because your technology was less advanced. But technology is not the same as intelligence, and intelligence is not the same as wisdom. The alien's crystal body began to crack further. You fight like no species we have ever encountered. You sacrifice yourselves without hesitation. You break every rule of civilized warfare. You are the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Then why did you invade us? Asked Commodore Webb. Because we were fools, Subprime Veltar whispered. We thought danger could be measured in weapons and ships. We did not understand that the most dangerous thing in the universe is a species that refuses to surrender. The alien died a few minutes later, his crystal body dissolving into glowing powder that the medical team carefully collected for study. Dr. Amy Foster was already working on that study, along with analyzing the captured alien technology scattered across the battlefield. In her laboratory aboard Terra's Fury, she was making discoveries that would change humanity forever. Admiral, you need to see this, she said excitedly when Admiral Clark visited her lab. The alien technology isn't just advanced, it's completely different from ours. They're faster than light drives, their energy weapons, their crystal computer systems. We can learn to build all of it. How long will that take?